Hi, I'm the Console Warrior, but you can call me Console, and I am a Sonic fanboy. So you know I like Sonic better than the Bible.
So, once upon a time, one of the famously known writers and actors for Dragon Ball Z Abridged, KaiserNeko, made a video about the Sonic movie, and he did something that's considered a sin in the Sonic fandom. Have a different opinion. Or something like that. So the video was titled, Why Sonic Doesn't Work in Live Action. Now, when I first saw the title, I did something that any Sonic fan would. Feel thread. So I clicked the video, prepared my hate comment for when I disagree, and then watched it. And after I did, I was already rethinking my actions. And decided I should write a hate video instead. So I watched the video multiple times trying to make sure I understood what I was arguing with. And after watching it like 10, 20 times, I wasn't sure what I was arguing about anymore. In fact, I even agreed with most of his points. What was my problem with it? But then I realized, we knew this stuff already! We know that the movie should have been fully animated. We know that it's the same cliche plot with humans just like every other live-action adaptation. Look, he's even using the same image everyone else has been using to compare the car scene from the hit movie Hop. Like, do I really have to explain why a live-action adaptation is usually a bad idea? My problem was that I didn't agree with him. It was that I was being told the same thing that I knew already, as if I were a helpless child. But that's not why you clicked on this video, right? The title of this video is called, What Makes the First Sonic Movie a Faithful Sonic Adaptation? If his arguments are technically correct, then why bother making this video at all? Because we all agree it's not a train wreck. And for a live-action video game adaptation, that's not something that happens very often. At the time. So that means there are still faithful elements from the franchise, and personally, I think there's a lot more that even hardcore fans might have missed.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident I could fix the entire Sonic franchise.
Says every Sonic fan ever. At its core, it does a great job representing the series and the beloved character. And unlike KaiserNeko, I'm actually a Sonic fanboy, so you know I'm more qualified. So here it is. Let me show you what makes this movie a faithful Sonic adaptation. So first things first, Sonic's design. I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain how terrifying the original Sonic movie design was. It was another obvious point KaiserNeko blabbed for 3 minutes. In the end, Paramount decided to change the design to make it more like the game, with some slight changes like adding fur in the middle of his eyes, so he doesn't have the weird mono eye like he's from Pixar's Cars. Still, there's a reason why they try to make him look more realistic, and that's something that KaiserNeko points out in his video. Making Sonic look closer to the more cartoony design makes him feel out of place and unnatural, and as he said, that wouldn't be a problem if they just kept Sonic on his planet Mobius. Now, with that logic, I can agree, but I think it's excused with good writing. Throughout the movie, Sonic is referred as an alien, and this doesn't have to mean they are from outer space. You can be an alien just by being from a different part of the world, for example. Sonic is clearly not a normal-looking hedgehog, so he would be considered an alien immediately, regardless if he's in a cartoon or real life. My point is, being called an alien multiple times through the story is not only an important trait established of his character, but is also why I think Sonic feeling out of place should be excused. I'm not trying to say that having the film based on Sonic's actual world wouldn't be the better option, and Sonic can obviously look better, but I think it does a good job with what it works with. Ultimately, I do think this is subjective. If he thinks he doesn't look right, then that's entirely his opinion. He's not wrong, but technically neither am I. Now, without Sonic, I think the movie loses a huge chunk about what makes this a Sonic film. He is a title character after all, but he isn't the only one from his franchise that makes an appearance, and that is Ivor Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman. Now, at first glance, he definitely lacks the looks of what makes him the Eggman, but when it comes to writing, they represent the character phenomenally. There are tons of different interpretations they could have based his character from cartoony and silly, or dark and menacing.
Snively, what color is my heart?
I don't see a heart, sir.
Exactly.
But I think they chose a great balance of what I personally would want him to be. Eggman, just from his design, portrays an over-the-top, cartoony, and silly villain. He's mentioned to be hot-headed, childish, and overall brimming with a lot of personality, and Jim Carrey really sells it. Some might say he's just playing himself, and to an extent I disagree, but he just manages to do a good job with the humor of this narcissistic scientist, and how Sonic and Tom interact with him is just what I expect from the games. The Donut Lord gets his moments to make Robotnik look like a joke, sometimes outsmarting him and making some good banter with Sonic. This scene right here reminds me a lot of Sonic and Tails in their first encounter with Eggman in Sonic Adventure, where they are roasting the heck out of him. But while he's been made into a joke by Sonic and his friends, the worst thing you can do to Eggman is underestimating him.
That was just too easy.
Gotcha!
Hey!
So one complaint that KaiserNeko brought up was actually at the end of his video. It wasn't important to his argument, it was just a problem that he had with other movies with speedster characters. They move so fast, they're basically moving while the rest of the world is in slow motion. This is not only cliche, but it's a giant plot hole because of how untouchable they are. And I agree.
Realistically, it would lose a lot of its tension and make the villains look like they don't even stand a chance. Except this guy!
Movie Eggman is awesome! He is known to be very deceptive, and Sonic knows this better than anyone.
He's sure tricky, isn't he?
Sonic is usually wise about Eggman's trickery, but he's not perfect. Even he gets tricked every so often, like the time when he was Super Sonic in Sonic Unleashed. But Eggman has shown that no matter how invincible you think you are, you shouldn't let your ego get the best of you. It's not because Sonic is stupid, it's because Eggman is really smart and knows how to take advantage of your weaknesses. And that's why you should never let your guard down around him. When you think you've defeated him, he's going to make sure he'll take advantage of it.
Whoa! You thought you could trick me with that fake emerald, didn't you?
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Tails!
Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
Another trait he has that the movie does is even though he is egotistical, he always has a backup plan. In Sonic Adventure, we get introduced to the egg carrier. It took 2 attempts and an upgrade to Tails' plane for Sonic and Tails to finally aboard the ship. It took like half the game just to defeat it. This obviously caused a lot of problems for them. Just imagine if he had 2 of them. In the same game, when his plan with Chaos Zero failed, he had a missile that could destroy all of Station Square anyways. Thankfully for Tails, it turned out to be a dud, but Eggman wasn't done yet. He was going to manually set it off in person. He is the Eggman, and he has a master plan.
You fool. Away, before I make mincemeat out of you.
This tank fight got me so hyped when I first saw it. As expected, Sonic and Tom managed to beat Eggman's machine. Or so they thought. It turns out it sent out a smaller robot that was stored inside to continue its chase. But wait, there's more. When they beat that, another one came out, and then another one came out. Surely that has to be it, right? Nope. Apparently the base that Sonic tore was also an explosion that did not want to come off, and they barely survived that. Dr. Eggman is always keeping Sonic and friends on his toes. Don't think it's over yet, until it's over.
Watch out, he's up to something.
One thing I've always believed in is that despite Eggman being the only human character in the main cast, he's unironically the least human character in the show. He kidnaps animals and turns them into robotic slaves. Some artwork draw him with black eyes and bright red pupils. And a consistent part of his character that exists in every adaptation is that he treats his minions very poorly. He thinks he's the only smart person alive, and therefore, he thinks he's better than you.
That little alien knew more about being human than you ever will.
Dr. Eggman easily carries this movie, both as a big part of what makes this movie Sonic, and in general. But let's get back to the most important piece that makes this a Sonic movie. Sonic himself. Now, before this movie revealed its first trailer, Sonic fans got a chance to learn what they might get for this film, and this one particular detail caught a lot of Sonic fans' attention. According to the CEO of Paramount, Sonic is a juvenile delinquent on the adventures of a pretty straight rule environment with a local policeman. Juvenile delinquent was a term that some Sonic fans didn't agree was an accurate description for his character, but what exactly is a juvenile delinquent? The word juvenile, according to Oxford Languages, means adjective, of, for, or relating to young people, or noun, a young person. Sonic is canonically 15 or 16 as officially stated, so by definition, he technically is juvenile. But what about the word delinquent? Typically of a young person or that person's behavior, showing are characterized by a tendency to commit crime, particularly minor crime. Now, if he's considered a delinquent, he's not going to be doing any major crimes like genocide, terrorism, or adultery. That sounds more like Shadow. No, we're talking about minor crimes, so let's look into the movie and see what makes Sonic a delinquent. So, he was an illegal alien, created a massive blackout accidentally, and he resisted arrest. Yep, sounds like a juvenile delinquent to me. Remember, Dr. Eggman was hired by the government to capture Sonic, so he technically is the law. He then gets help from a local cop named Tom. Because of this, Tom becomes a wanted criminal for helping Sonic escape from Dr. Robotnik.
attempts to aid an enemy of the United States shall suffer death. And if I'm the one that catches you, it'll be even worse.
Yeah, I think being a juvenile delinquent makes sense. Oh, but Sonic didn't mean to do some of these things, right? Well, yeah, technically, Sonic did not have any bad intentions whatsoever. In fact, the government wasn't even sure if he was an actual threat. They were just afraid of the unknown. It seems to me fans were overreacting about this. But still, he did break some laws, regardless if it was an accident or without any bad intentions. Well, you see, I think the reason why fans don't like that Sonic is called a juvenile delinquent is because they think that would make Sonic a bad person. I get it. The word doesn't exactly have a positive connotation. But let me ask you this. If doing the right thing makes you a criminal, would you still do it? Sonic's character was based off of the 42nd president, Bill Clinton, because of his get-it-done attitude, and is the reason why Sonic is known for his impatience that we love him today. In the 90s, Sega wanted to appeal to the teenagers of the American audience, and they believed that if America loved Sonic, then Japan would too. They wanted to give Sonic an attitude. Attitude is a big part of Sonic's character, and it was part of their advertisement tactics that helped Sonic in the Sega Genesis in the console wars. It's the reason why they were able to challenge Nintendo.
Danita Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really ducked my doilies. Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh, little brats!
Sonic was designed to be the anti-Mario. As Mario is a human who fights for a princess and her law against an evil creature, Sonic is a creature who fights for freedom against a corrupt tyrant, who just happens to be human. Sonic hates being restrained and cares about nature and its animals, but Eggman wants control and power, and he's willing to take their freedom just to achieve it. And you know Sonic would not stand for that. They say respect your elders, but that's like the last thing Sonic is doing. My point is, Sonic is not the stereotypical hero that people claim him to be. He fights for justice and freedom. Being a delinquent is exactly what made him not just a video game icon, but a media icon, and inspired so many other mascots today.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Sonic was always about doing what he believes is right, not what everyone else does, like stopping an evil mad scientist from taking over the world, or helping woodland creatures from being trapped inside killer robots. But hey, this is just a game, right? It's not like it needs to be taken seriously. I mean, inside this so-called black market are paper bags and fruit. Maybe they're actually drugs, but my chow is doing just fine, thank you very much. And we have to remember, this is not our world. This is Sonic's world, so we can't assume their laws are the same as our own. GUN hasn't been the best law enforcement either. Let me remind you, they drove a giant truck through a street and destroyed tons of people's properties and civilians just to chase down a blue hedgehog. And I think we all know that's not all the terrible things they've done in the past. Despite Dr. Robotnik in the movie working with the law enforcement himself, he's not without breaking some laws either. Not only does he invade Tom's home without his or the government's permission, blows up civilians' properties to capture Sonic, and even threatens Tom to exist.
I'm a cop, and you're threatening an officer. How can you threaten somebody who never existed?
Like, can you believe that's where our tax dollars are going? Let's not forget that America was made by delinquents. Even after, its citizens had to fight against the law, like Rosa Parks, who had to fight for equal rights just to sit on the other side of the bus. In fact, even Marvel's Captain America has fought against America's own laws, and became a vigilante at one point. Most superheroes are vigilantes, like Pixar's The Incredibles, or Batman from The Dark Knight. What about when they put Jesus on the cross? He was technically a criminal, so I guess he's a bad person. Sonic Adventure 2 was my first Sonic game. In fact, it's my favorite Sonic game. In it, we meet Shadow the Hedgehog, who wants revenge on humanity for the tragedy that was 50 years ago, and the death of his best friend, who he believed also wanted revenge. So he intends to destroy the planet and the people living on it. However, thanks to Amy Rose, he realized he made a mistake. Maria didn't want revenge after all, but to give the people a chance to be happy. People make mistakes. If people knew what they were doing was wrong, they wouldn't do it, right?
As a child, I looked up to my grandfather because of all the He was my hero, and I wanted to be a great scientist like him.
This story taught me that forgiveness is very important, and it's a message that makes me the person I am today.
Please have mercy.
In Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball, we meet the protagonist, Son Goku, a Saiyan born on Earth with a kind heart. He has this tendency to forgive his enemies, which doesn't always work out for him.
No, Goku! He's trying to trick you! Don't let him go!
We meet the Space Emperor Frieza, a tyrant who wants to rule the entire galaxy, and is willing to do any dirty deed to get it done. And when he killed Goku's best friend Krillin, this causes the Saiyan to snap, giving him a drastic change to his personality, turning him into the legendary Super Saiyan. But despite his transformation, despite his anger towards Frieza, he still forgave him.
I gave you some of my own energy.
Learn what happens when you mess with the most powerful being in the universe!
Dragon Ball teaches us that not everyone should be forgiven, especially if it means keeping dangerous people alive.
I had a chance to finish him, but I was only fooling myself, thinking that he might change.
In the Dragon Ball universe, there are people that believe they are evil. This is clearly the opposite message of Shadow's story. So, which one do you believe? Clearly you can't believe both, right?
Unless, in some complicated way, they're both right. Either way, you're disagreeing with me.
My point is, both these stories are made by people, just like you and me. People with their own beliefs and opinions. And Sonic isn't any different. Whether it's to take down a corrupt tyrant from ruling the world with an iron fist, or declining an invitation from a selfish secretary to fulfill a promise for a friend.
Go and find Sonic and bring him over here pronto!
Sonic was never about doing what everyone else believes. He did what he believed was right.
If I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I would choose Sonic.
In the movie, Sonic is told by his mother figure, Longclaw, to stay away from people because there would always be someone who would want his power. For years, he did just that, and he was miserable. But then, he met Tom. They teamed up to get Sonic's warp rings back while avoiding the mad scientist. Despite it all, Sonic is having the time of his life, and he finally found someone who he can see as a friend, even though it's not what his mother figure told him to do. He even starts to question if Longclaw was wrong, but then Tom revealed his plans. He said he feels more like a babysitter than a cop, so he wanted to move away from this small town and do something more meaningful, like save someone's life. But Sonic was not happy about that. He told Tom that even this small town needs a hero, and he was not afraid to express how he felt about that. Technically, what Sonic is doing is not against the law, but he is still disagreeing with the cop. He's still disobeying what his mother figure told him. In Sonic and the Black Knight, we meet Sir Gawain, a doppelganger of Sonic's friend Knuckles the Echidna, who is stated to be the best knight due to his stubbornness and loyalty to the knight's code. In fact, he's so loyal to the code that after losing a duel with Sonic, he claims that he will end his own life for failing his duty as a knight.
Yeah, I know it's a little dark. A lot of people has made fun of this scene for that.
But even if this character is not supposed to be Knuckles, I wouldn't be surprised if he did something similar. Knuckles is known to be very stubborn and inflexible. Unlike Sonic, he is a rules kind of guy. In Sonic Adventure, we learned that he was told by his tribe to guard the Master Emerald, and he doesn't even know why. That's just what he was told to do. It's been stated that while Sonic is swift as the wind, Knuckles is stubborn like a mountain. Sonic is out there doing as he pleases, and living life to the fullest. But Knuckles, he just stays in one place, guarding the Master Emerald for the rest of his life. Alone. It's kinda sad, really.
Give me a break! What's up with all this drama?
Silence! Silence, I say! A knight who fails their king is unfit to live.
Isn't there more to being a knight than just serving a king?
Huh?
Before, Sonic was summoned by a wizard named Merlina, who is in need of his help. But when she thought she summoned the hero that she needed, she learned Sonic isn't as heroic as she thought he was.
If you remove that sword and defeat King Arthur with it, you shall forever be the worst of knights, slayer of kings.
Guess I can't be the hero every time.
Merlina's true intentions was actually to prevent the tragedy that happens in this world. Apparently she learns that Sir Gawain and Sir Lancelot is the cause for this world's destruction, so she wants to prevent that from happening and make the world live on forever. Honestly, even though she's being portrayed as a secret antagonist of the story, her goal doesn't seem that bad. What's wrong with keeping life from ending? But Sonic was not happy about that.
No, and I don't want to.
Sonic believes that life is supposed to end. That's exactly why he goes out and have adventures. If life lives on forever, what's the point of living life to the fullest? And without it, he just isn't Sonic. So he intends to prevent Merlina and let the world have its end, even if that makes him a bad guy.
I already told you, I don't mind playing the bad guy every once in a while.
You might not agree with him, but he doesn't care. He was never about doing what everyone else believes in. He does what he believes is right, and that's what I believe in too.
State your name and your master.
I'm Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog. I have no master. Except the one that won't free. It was never about chivalry for me. I just gotta do what I've gotta do. I guess you could say that Whim is my other master. I play by my own rules. Remember that.
This day forward, you shall be serious. Light of the
With that said, do you think he's a bad person? Well, that's entirely up to you. Whether it's the law, your parents, story writers, someone's religion, or your favorite content creator, you have to remember, they are people with their own flaws and beliefs, just like you and me. It's your choice if you want to believe them or not. That's what Sonic's about. And now you know why the Sonic fandom is so divisive.
Honestly, I think this fandom is amazing. It's definitely not perfect, but it's filled with the most talented and loyal people. Sure, we don't always agree with each other, but at the end of the day, it's just an opinion, right? But I get it. Wouldn't it be easier if we just all agreed with each other? Sometimes you feel like Sonic isn't made for you anymore. But anyways, I hope I taught you something about Sonic.
With that said, remember to always believe in yourself.
I can do this!
Follow your dreams.
It's not that dreams don't come true. We just give up on them.
And don't let anyone tell you what you can't do.
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
Told me you lost everything, the way I did. But
you seemed hopeful and free. How did you move forward?
I found a new family, new friends. And you can too. You don't have to be alone anymore.
Oh, it doesn't matter now what happens. I will never give up the fight. Long as the voice inside tries me to run and fight. It doesn't matter who is wrong and who is right. No, 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 no. It doesn't matter.